This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
Is a paid program. The content is provided by the advertiser. WPSL, its staff, management, and ownership are not responsible for the content. Investment involves risk. Prior to making any investment, an investor should meet suitability requirements. Past results are not necessarily indicative of future performance. Neither the opinions expressed nor the information provided constitutes a recommendation to purchase or provide investment advice. The material presented is not a substitute for obtaining professional advice from a qualified person or firm. Securities offered through Centaurus Financial, member FINRA and SIPC. And now, the host of the Team Martek Hour, Joe Martek.
Guess what? We're on the air, guys. Alan, I gave you that thing so you could take a look at it. You see what it is?
Yes.
It's a. We're going to talk about this more later on today, but we'll talk about it somewhat today. And I am Joe Martek. This is the Team Martek Hour. Back in 2004, Joe Martek, financial advisor, Greg Fasula, attorney. Well, I'm surprised Greg is not here. I really am, because Greg's the only liberal in the group, and he won. So I thought he'd come in and rub salt in our wounds, right? Alan,
maybe he's still eating ice cream.
Didn't you think, Alan, he'd be rubbing salt in our wounds?
Well, I think he's still recovering from the hangover from the celebration.
The election's not over yet.
Well,
Won't be over till Thanksgiving.
Do you really think it's not over? I mean, in your mind, do you think it's not over?
I know it's not over, for sure.
It's been over since election night.
That's my point is this. I don't care how much they count and how many lawsuits are going to go on. I think it's over.
I have inside information, so I can't really...
So even if they find...
The counts are really...
They're off really bad.
They're off. But, okay, so they find the 450,000
right.
that are being reported.
Right.
That only puts him 3 million...
I know.
500 votes.
But it's not the votes that matter.
It's the electors.
I get it.
Here's what he needs. He needs Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Nevada, and that's it.
Or if there's substantial fraud that's proved through the courts, they could move to invalidate the election and go under the 12th Amendment, which the 12th Amendment says that it goes back to the states, not... Even though it's basically the 50 states have a vote, right now, if that's the scenario...
Wait a minute, finish that sentence up. You said it goes back to the states.
It goes back to the states. The states get to select an elector to choose who's going to be president.
Oh, well, that ought to work well.
Well, under that scenario, since we have 37 Republican states, basically, it could be very interesting.
But here comes the concept. They're not going to count by population. They're just going to count by state. Is that what you're saying? According
if it goes to the 12th Amendment, if there's enough fraud substantiated, and we're starting to see things daily, not in mainstream media, of course, but you have to go to the new media, Newsmax, Epoch Times, et cetera, and look for these articles, and they are being reported. There's 200 in Michigan. The case that's going on there, they've got 235 some odd different statements from individuals, sworn affidavits of possible fraud that has occurred.
You say possible fraud?
Well, it's always alleged until it goes
to the court system.
Yeah, they don't want to say that it's... Because if they come and say it is fraud, then they can throw it out.
I mean, I had a couple of fraudulent marriages, but they still cost me money.
And you were thrown out.
Yeah, but I had fun at the parties.
So you were thrown out.
I was thrown out no matter what. 340-1590, 340-1590, and we got a caller, our faithful listener, Russ. Hey, it's Joe Martek. You're on the radio, my man.
Yeah, I'm with you, Joe. Even if they figure out that every single vote that Biden got was stolen from Trump, they aren't going to overturn it, because then they have to flat out admit every Democrat and every media outlet are flat out criminals.
I know, and that's exactly my point. You hit it right on the nail. How in the and listen, my thing is this: I feel bad for the Republicans that they didn't out fraud them. You understand what I'm saying?
No, it's when you're trying to do the right thing, it's hard.
I know you're trying to do the right. You try to do the right thing, but it just seems like every election we go through, we're going to bust people in. We're going to have them all become Democrats overnight and buy them lunch, and then I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that's done that's sneaky. I don't mind sneaky. Flat out fraud becomes our big problem. But there's all these people, and we got multiple people that we've talked to that dead people have voted. Well, and I know a guy that voted in 2 different states because he was still registered in both states. Okay, fine. Now, how many of these things, if I know 1 or 2 myself, and Greg, do you know of any 1 or 2 yourself?
My grandmother voted.
Okay, yeah, and how long has she been dead now? 300 years?
About 20 years.
Yeah. So I'm saying
Just out of
Got a California ballot, though.
Yeah, of course.
And how did she vote exactly?
Well, she was in California, so you know
yeah,
how she
well,
voted.
Naturally, Biden.
How else?
There's only one party
See,
in
that's
California.
that's the problem. We need to do better outreach to dead people in the Republican Party.
Exactly.
We've really missed the boat here.
My point is exactly. We need to do better outreach.
That's what you can do.
What? Better outreach?
Open a Republican tarot card shop.
Republican tarot card.
Contact with your dead relatives to vote.
You know what? I think Cliff would be the better tarot reader of the group we know here, because I mean he looks more like a tarot reader or terror reader. Russ, I don't know what else to say. Like I think it's over with. I pray, I hope, please, that we don't lose Georgia, the Senate, and that's my only.
I'm just happy it wasn't us this time that screwed it all up.
Isn't that the truth? I was talking to.
Well, we're the gold standard now.
We are.
Oh, yeah.
And other states are looking to Florida now. Okay, how did you do it? And Palm Beach County was.
Wait. This is so pathetically simple. What gets me, Alan brought it up today. You know what we need? We need, which is not going to happen, the 2 parties to get together to say, let's make a uniform voting
Never
system.
happen.
Of course it
Never
won't.
Bingo.
Of course it won't happen. But I'm trying to say is, this is the best thing that can happen to America. Never will happen. Why do we do something that's good for our people? Well, we can't do that. We're politicians.
Nor will we ever actually have a national standard. I mean, if you look at the Constitution and its amendments, it is clearly in the state's hands to do these elections and how they deem and see fit.
But can't we override? We'd take a new constitutional amendment. You think?
We could, but again,
It's
in
not
the
gonna
current
happen.
environment,
You need
no.
50 different votes.
All that amounts
Or
to
52, depending on who's counting.
Supermajority, and that's not going to happen.
no. Hey Russ, listen, I don't know what else to say. All I'm doing is I'm actually praying now. Say, Lord, please, 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 let me keep the Georgia Senate. And that's it. So I'm not against
Hey, so
gridlock.
is Biden.
Yeah. What?
I mean, he's praying that the Republicans win Georgia.
So he doesn't have to show up for work.
No. Take it one step further.
So Kamala doesn't take over.
AOC. He's got to worry about that part of the party
Yeah.
more than the Republicans. Believe me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we have gridlock, I'm a happy camper. Give me 4 years of nothing. We just coast right along on what Trump accomplished, and I think we're fine. But they're going to try to override. And I've had other people panicking, and I said, hey, it'll take at least 2 years if they do everything in their power to change some of the systems, the tax code, Medicare, Social Security, any of the things that we're so used to. It'll take at least 2 years of everything going in their favor, if they have everything in their favor, to get it accomplished. So, Russ, we don't have to move to Afghanistan yet. I guess he left us. 340-1590, 340-1590. Back in 2004, the 3 of us started doing these shows with the concept of each had a different area of expertise, and people could call in and we could answer questions. And over a period of time, we added Ms. Victoria Lloyd, Remax of Stewart, hardest working realtor in the whole world, rated one of the top 100 of the 100,000 agents worldwide. Victoria, you're in the top 100.
I was, yes.
Of
I
the
have been.
100,000.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, and
And I ranked as high as 14th.
the key is this is that we pick on her, but people don't understand your mentality, because you may be, if you're not the only person that's like you, there might be one other, and I've never met her. The key is All she does is work. She doesn't look, and I get a kick out of this. So let's just say the commission is 6% on $300,000. That's $18,000. She doesn't look at that 6%. There could be a 3-way, 4-way split on that commission. Victoria just works regardless for the client, for the customer, to get the best that can possibly happen, regardless of the money. So I know her husband, Lenny, said, wait a minute, what's that check for $11.45? You put 400 hours in for that.
Yeah. And it's true. And I've done that, and I've worked so hard, and they don't, a lot of people don't realize we don't get paid until we actually have a closing.
Yeah.
So all the things we do means gas. That means when we list your property and put up signs, we have to have lock boxes. We have to advertise.
Sure.
I mean, we have to have the photographers go out there. There's so much cost that goes in the front end of this.
Of course.
And a lot of people don't realize that or actually appreciate what you do.
Well, the whole object is, you got to pay for expertise. And the people that don't, and I'm one of the victims of stupidity as hard as anybody can be, because I had a $30,000 dog.
The one that bit he
one
wasn't your dog, though.
Wasn't my dog,
I remember that.
but it was a $30,000 neighbor dog that didn't bite him, but he tore the UPS guy's pants on my property.
Oh, nice.
And in a deposition that I went to without an attorney, here comes stupidity. You ready?
Oh.
I know. In the deposition, they said, was that your dog? I said, no, it's the neighbor's dog. He said, oh, really? Well, how come he was on your property? Oh, he came over to visit my dogs. Have you ever fed the dog? Oh, yeah, sure. You see what I just said?
Yeah.
In Florida, feeding a dog is ownership. It was done.
Really?
And how about friends?
Wait a minute. Back up.
That's
What I
true.
just said, word for word. If you feed a dog on your property, that's ownership.
Or any animal.
Or hey, listen, even if you feed an ex-wife, it's not ownership. She can still get you.
Fred,
But-
we're not going to lunch after all. Sorry.
No. But what I'm trying to say is that is the definition in Florida law. So I was dead in the water, and my attorney, remember Steve Glucksman,
Yes.
calls me up and said, Martek, you're the dumbest. And I said, okay, but why now? And he said,
But you didn't go into court with him.
well, of course, here's what he said. He said, okay, listen, there's a chance we can win because the damage to his knee was probably caused during high school, but then we have to go back and get doctors and all. It might cost you $50,000 to win. You know what I'm saying? So Christmas Eve, $30,000.
Yeah, but he was
Wrote a check.
claiming that because he got hurt, he couldn't have
Well, of
sex with his
course.
wife anymore.
Well, no, she sued for lack of consortium, and I said, man, he must have had to. Never mind that part. But anyway.
Good
Yeah.
Lord.
And I mean, that's
Well,
how it
they
really
dropped
went
that
down.
part. I guess he finally could perform again.
Well, I
So,
enjoyed coming here. I mean, my problem seems so insignificant that when I... Thank you. Thank you both. Yeah, this is...
And these are
three-
the funny part. They're really true stories.
yeah,
we don't make this
you know,
stuff
and
up.
Greg, in life, and I know you've got some funny stories that Carol won't allow you to tell. But
Wait a minute, I thought he was still under a grand jury seal that he couldn't say
Yeah,
some of
right.
those
I
stories.
have a question for our producer. Greg, is there a WPSL jail that you could put some of these people in?
they have that center office. They can put a padlock on it. And not let-
Where
I
is
think
Cliff's
there is a
office
jail out
exactly?
here.
Yeah. 340-1590, 340-1590. Then after Victoria, she brought in Mike Polisk because during the Great Recession, there were all kinds of misinformation from the media. Can you
There's
believe?
no mortgages.
No mortgage money available. Well, that was never, ever true. What happened is, in the worst of times, it went back to the old rule, which was you had to prove you could make the payment. All you had to do was, because Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac rules are not based on credit, they are, quote, ability to pay. Ability to pay. So if you can have a terrible credit score, but if you can prove that you can pay, and the reason you have that credit score is because of something unbelievably out of your control, sometimes you can still get a mortgage. But anyway, so the rule today is pretty much that way. And I say pretty much. It's gotten a little easier in the last few months where they're starting to have some non-conforming mortgages. But bottom line is, in order to get a mortgage today, you have to prove you can make the payment. Just that simple. So that's what we all got together to answer questions for people. And then about 5 years ago, this itinerant retired prosecuting attorney from Wisconsin stumbled in one day and said, hey, you got an extra seat? I'm tired. And here it is, 5-6 years later, he's still in that chair. Alan, is that fair?
That's very fair, and you know, I'm impressed with how you're taking what has happened. But there are people that are saying it's not over yet.
You see, I am all for it not being over. But here comes my biggest thing, and now forgive me. We are Americans. This is America. I want America to succeed.
It is?
I want it to. I know. California
Yes,
people.
comrade.
Yes. California people don't understand that, but that's okay. The concept is, I'd like to get this over with. Period. And let's all get back to work. We've got the virus coming under control with the antidote 1 and the virus and the vaccine
There's
2.
a second and a third vaccine that's become available. I mean, the 2 that made announcements that I think it was who was the first one that
Pfizer.
came? Pfizer, and then there was another one that came
Well,
out
also,
today.
and Russia says it has one. China has one.
China's
Everybody's
doing
got one
testing.
now.
Yeah, the Russians have Sputnik.
Yeah. The key thing is going to happen is this too will come under control. Right now, the media is still making a big deal out of everybody's going to die. We're going to have a black Christmas. Everything is going to be bad.
Do you know what the number 1 cause of death is?
Ex-wives?
No, life.
Life.
Yeah, guaranteed.
Death and tax.
Although
Why do you let life get in the
ex-wives
way?
could
Yeah,
be a good
I mean, if
second.
you know that that's it, then you make changes.
Well, I'm trying, but unfortunately, none of those shots or the crystals that I've been buying off the internet are really helping. But
You realize none of us get out of here alive. Some get to leave earlier than others. You know, you know why men die before their wives, Greg?
Because they can.
Because they can. 340-1590, 340-1590. So, Ms. Victoria Lloyd, you think when I'm starting to see interest rates edge up, the 10-year T-bill is almost pushing 1 now. That means interest rates are going to get 3%, 3.1, 3.2, 3.4, 3.5. Each time an interest rate goes up a point, it takes X number of buyers out of the market.
Well,
I know. You got to look at the working person who live in paycheck.
I understand, but it's all going to determine on price ranging. So if we are able to keep our prices low enough,
Right.
then they're still going to be able to afford it.
Well, you know
but
what'll-
if the values keep ticking up also at the same time as
Right.
the interest rates are, then it's going to make it a little more difficult.
Well, what happened in the Great Recession was you could fog a mirror, you could get a mortgage, so the prices of real estate skyrocketed because everybody thought they could buy it today and sell it tomorrow and didn't have to hardly qualify for it.
Right.
When used real estate costs more than new real estate, that's an imbalance.
yeah,
That's
not
right.
supposed to be the way it is. It is still balanced, meaning a resale still costs less than a new house, unless that resale is in better condition than a new house and has more amenities than a new house.
Did you see the stock price for D.R. Horton? Through the roof.
Well, and that's what's
Well,
happened.
that's because of new construction being so high right
That's
now.
right.
That's it.
That's why-
But all these things, like Joe and I know, we've seen the history of this. What goes up must come down.
Sure.
And it does happen. So when people get this false illusion that that's the way it's going to be, it's not. You got to be very careful. It's called timing.
The whole object is this, and I've had people say, "Gee, Joe, I think I'm going to sell my house because I can make so much money on it." And I said, "Okay,
Where are you gonna go?
What are you going to do?" So I'm going to buy another house. I says, "Well, you're trading laterally, no matter what it is. You sell low, you buy low. You sell high, you buy high. There's no way to win technically on this thing unless you're done living. Hey, if you're done living in houses, you want to just be a renter, you can walk away with a couple of $100,000 tax-free on profit. You know that rule, Greg. If you're married, you can make up to $500,000 as long as you've lived in your primary residence 2 of the last 5 years, and there's no tax on the gain, period. So now you got $500,000 you can stick in your pocket, go play, travel the world, die, do whatever you want. If you're single, it's $250,000. So there are some opportunities for people to actually have some money to play with and do, and especially us old people, because you don't know when the ticket's going to get punched. So how many years do you have left to play? You'll never get to play, Greg, because you own a radio station. you know,
Oh,
so
yeah.
that's
yeah.
the-
And
Or you
and
can do a
old.
reverse mortgage
well,
and still keep your home.
Well, the key thing is this: you then put cash in your pocket, right?
Exactly.
So,
But then do you have heirs?
huh?
do you have heirs?
Some people do and some people don't.
Well, let's say
and,
you
and
have.
let me tell you the good and the bad.
Here comes. Great.
do you
I
care
know
about
when
your
your
heirs?
dad died, he.
Well, no, that's
I know when your dad died, he left you a couple $100,000, right?
yeah, right.
You know, when my dad died, he owed me money. The whole concept of people leaving money to their kids today is a new phenomenon. All of a sudden, they want to do it, and you know, kids are really appreciate it when they go get that Maserati, you know, because it's a different mentality today than it was when we were little kids, and it's not the kids' fault today. They were raised to be more privileged, entitled. You know, did you get an allowance when you were a kid?
A small one, but I was delivering the L.A. Times every day when I was.
Oh, the Sunday one probably nearly killed you.
7
No wonder
years old.
he's a little stunted in growth. 'Cause,
yeah, you got it.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a 5-pound newspaper back then.
Yeah. You wonder why I had rotator cuff surgery.
Yeah, you go.
Jim,
Trying to throw that thing.
Jim, I've got a question for you since you're in the computer tech field. Maybe the question is not in your bailiwick, but all of a sudden Bitcoin has skyrocketed. What's going on there?
Well, it's like a lot of things. I mean, because of uncertainty within the presidential election and the marketplace and COVID, some have sought out digital currency as a safe haven. They look at it that it's safer than governments right now. Unfortunately, my argument would be, what is Bitcoin actually based on?
And try and find it.
No, it's
there is
air.
no basis.
It's vapor.
It's air. Yeah, see that's
so. I mean, it's a Ponzi scheme.
Sure, it is.
Waiting to just come.
waiting
undone.
to explode.
Yeah, in my opinion.
Well, but on the other hand, there are some legitimate brokerage houses now that are allowing people to trade it. Not everyone does. Whether this is smart or not, I have no clue. Do I want any of it? No. Do my clients, if they want some, I say go to somebody else to get it.
The interesting thing is that the government actually came down pretty hard because Facebook was actually trying to produce their own digital currency. I think it was Litecoin is what their currency that they were going to try to produce was. And the government I'll say again? Libra, thank you. So many different, there's literally dozens of digital currencies now. But they came down on them like a ton of bricks, and they said, no, if you do this, and here's some of the repercussions, and basically stop that deployment, because they knew that it's already, they want to be able to trace certain transactions. And, you know, the dirty little secret is, unfortunately, not everything. There are legitimate transactions that happen with Bitcoin, but there's also a lot of illegitimate transactions that happen with Bitcoin. And
you know, I get people that are really all upset and you said, hey, I'm going to put everything all into gold because America's going to go out. We're going to be taken over. And I said, so what are you going to do with that bar of gold? Go down to the grocery store with a knife and carve off a little piece for a loaf of bread?
They make a gold carver on Amazon. You can just shave a little piece off, like, you know, and they got a little marker. It was like a bread piece. You just hand them a little.
But isn't that what they did in the Western days? Where
Well,
they had gold nuggets?
Well, let me just tell you, if we look at the founding of Florida, the money that was used was mostly all Spanish doubloons, was real gold, and that was the currency that was used by our settlers. Back
And
in
it's still out in the ocean.
Yeah, some of
Yeah.
it's still out there.
Yeah.
But the key, the object of this, we left the gold standard many, many years ago because there wasn't enough gold to produce, you know, to cover all of the world's.
Was that the reason?
What was the reason?
No, I just thought that, you know, I mean, there's a lot of speculation exactly what.
So
Well,
what's
also,
in-
you can't print gold.
Well, that's-
wildly.
Exactly. That's probably more realistic.
That's
than
what
the
I was
reason.
letting go. You know,
So
maybe
what
opium.
is in Afghanistan under the opium?
What's other than opium?
Goats.
What else do we need besides opium?
Stealth goats. That's why we need those stealth bombers to go after
That's
those
it.
stealth goats.
Gold,
Yeah,
rare earth,
little things.
just major stuff.
Well, you know, what happens is behind the scenes, right? We're all being altruistic. We're only doing the right thing for people, my rear end. Yeah, so people, Lord save me. Thank you, Lord, we're in America. Thank you, thank you, thank you. However, we are not lily white when it comes to what we have done, and there's people behind the scenes that are making millions of dollars. We've never heard of the Biden family making any money, right?
They make money?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Who?
called. Oh, no, wait a minute. They didn't have to work for it. I keep forgetting. It was just given to them. Little minor thing. You're allowed to get money if you don't work, right, Greg? If you're in the radio business, that
You're
works.
a senator.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just automatically get money.
That's
so
it.
I'm in the wrong profession.
Well, we all are.
Okay.
That was pretty easy.
So we
In
need a new team.
harmony.
340-1590, 340-1590. So, Victoria, other than the fact interest rates are still in the threes,
Yes.
resales are still less than new construction.
Yes.
So how much would you say, percentage-wise, of your business right now, is it 10% new construction or mostly all resales? What's the story?
It's more it's more resale for me
Right.
than new, but a lot of people, I've got somebody that's coming down,
Yeah.
and they're going to go into new only.
Yeah.
First, she was looking at resale, but because of her allergies, she didn't want carpeting. So everything I was showing her in these homes, which were gorgeous and a lot less money, which to me, you can take the carpeting out.
Well, it's
But
pretty
And
simple.
the palm
now
trees.
she wants to go and get new.
And the palm trees too. That palm dander stuff.
Palm dander?
Oh, whatever that the
No, it's not that. It's the Melaleucas and the Brazilian peppers.
Oh.
Yeah, the
And
Brazilian
if you have
pepper.
orange trees in your backyard, you're even in worse shape. You ever been there, go by in the spring, or what we call it when Florida
blossoms?
spring, when all the oranges are blooming? I mean, if you don't swell up like a balloon.
Well, I have an orange tree,
Yeah,
and
but
I've
don't-
never had that. But you know which kind
yeah,
I
but
have?
that doesn't affect Italians.
No, I don't think so. A lot of things don't affect us. There's something about us, thank goodness. It must be all the olive oil and garlic.
It's the olive
Like,
oil.
"Rah."
It's the olive oil.
That
But-
and wine.
Yeah, but I have the sour orange tree, which has thorns on it, and I understand that they did that they put the trees together because those are the kind, the sour oranges are healers. So if we're sick, it'll heal us, and if another tree is sick, it can heal another
So
tree.
when are you going to start eating these things and get healed?
Well, I've been working on it, John. I would be a lot worse.
340-1590, 340-1590. So, other than that, Alan, we got any words of wisdom on the election?
Well, I think the stock market has been just phenomenal
Terrific.
since the election. And of course, on yesterday, when Pfizer made the announcement before the opening,
1,500.
we opened 1,500 points higher on the Dow, and
Settle
now,
back down. But
now the market's settling down. But
Got to take that profit back.
you were talking about the Republicans keeping the Senate. That would be the best scenario for the market because of the fact divided government works best in this country.
Well, it's yes, it does, because here you're always going to have two opinions, but if one opinion doesn't count, that's a dictatorship. You know, so it's called, hey, if we have a divided Congress, they have to agree on things to get them done. So bipartisanship does occur occasionally, but usually, can you believe this, for the betterment of the people of the country. Now that what a deal, huh? Can you believe that? When does that happen, Greg? Not often, right? Does it ever happen in California?
It does in the governor's house.
In the yeah, absolutely.
And by the way, speaking of that, Disneyland will be closed through June of next year.
In California.
Which means, and now they're suggesting, that, I love this, they are suggesting, that the LA Convention Center, which is right near Staples Center, downtown LA, close and turn into a homeless shelter.
Lord save
And
me.
recommending highly that Disneyland do likewise.
Well, you know what though? You know what's going to happen?
You know,
Our new Democrats are going to pay for this. So your tax rate just went up to 94%.
So wait a minute.
We've been there, done that.
In fact, you may have to take some homeless people into the radio station so you can get paid
So
from
I
the
could
government.
live in Witch Mountain,
Now you can
that's what
start
you're
making
saying?
some money.
I could live inside of Witch Mountain.
Yes, you could.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, there's some new career opportunities I need to consider.
Well, how many? 60,000 homeless in L.A.?
What?
How many?
Well, there's more than that.
In a neighborhood.
Yes.
What they're trying to do now, because of all the heavy rain and snow, believe it or not, in Southern California, is that the homeless encampment on the Santa Ana River, which is right behind Anaheim Stadium, is over 30,000.
That one encampment.
Just that one encampment. Now, they're wondering where some of the people are because of the raging rivers now in the Santa Ana, which never runs. So, it's awful. It's just crazy here.
Well, it's a very, there's no way, no rhyme or reason for us to comprehend all of the weird stuff that's going on.
It's like 350,000 homeless in LA.
Is that what in L.A.?
In LA.
Wow, 350,000, and that's not counting what San Francisco has.
I think it does. I think they're counting downtown Frisco the same.
Because it's almost like downtown from San Francisco to L.A. now, isn't it?
It's tough.
Yeah,
I'm seeing a few more homeless around here that I've never seen before, like in the Stewart and the Port St. Lucie area.
Well, yeah, but a
There's a
lot
few
of our
enclaves.
homeless in Florida are snowbirds. They winter in Florida and they summer up north. I mean, they move back and forth. This is not the worst deal in the world.
No, it isn't. But
No.
but I'm just seeing more, and I'm seeing more peddlers that are out there looking for money.
Guess what? Again, the snowbirds have come down.
Yeah.
This is November. Remember, it's cold up north. Is it coming back to you now?
But as many years that I've been here, I've never.
You're
to
seeing
me,
more
I'm
now.
seeing more now than I've ever seen
Really?
before.
Well,
Absolutely,
West
I
Palm,
am.
PGA, and such. I mean, you go down through
Oh,
there
yeah.
anywhere on Military Trail, and there's somebody there with a sign.
And even Fort Lauderdale. Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, especially Fort Lauderdale.
Further south more. Hey, 340-1590, 340-1590. Hey, I had Alan, I showed you this quickly.
Right.
Just a quick one. I have a client of mine that says, Joe, you were supposed to talk about this on the radio last week, and I didn't write it down. So if I don't write it down, it just rips right through.
You can write.
Yeah, well, print.
Oh, print. Okay. Yeah.
So if you see my cursive, remember that word? I can't read it myself. Anyway,
In your case, it was cussive.
thank you. I'm still using the abacus for anyway.
You are from Detroit.
Detroit, yeah, Detroit. You live in the South, it's Detroit. When we live there, it's Detroit.
I am putting an MA rating on this show for the rest of the show. Mature audiences only.
Well, now that we're in the adult hour.
Now that I can say anything I want now. Here's what happened. This year you did not have to take your required minimum distribution on your IRA. You know that. So you're 75 years old.
Is that COVID related?
Yes.
Yes.
The government says you don't have to take it this year if you don't want to. That way you don't have a taxable consequence on that money. Got it?
Pushed
So I
out?
don't have to take it.
You don't have to take it
But
this year.
Is it pushed out from
No,
that?
no. It's just you don't have to take it. Forget it. Next year, you're now 1 year older. Let's say you're 76, 77. You got to take 5% out of whatever the value is. The way it works is this: when you turn 70 and 1/2, the ratio was 4%, give or take, that you had to take that year. And then every year, the percentage that you have to take from your IRA or any retirement account keeps going up. When you're 90, you have to take out 10% of the value. When you're 115, take your last dollar. In the meantime, government said, okay, this year we're going to change the rule to 72, and nobody has to take it at all this year. However, there was a caveat. Number one, if you took it early in the year, you had until August 31st to put it back in. If you didn't put it back in by August 31st, you're stuck with that distribution and it's subject to tax. That's number one. Number two, let's say you have an inherited IRA. There's no waiver on that. You have to take your distribution on an inherited IRA. Nobody's ever talked about that, but that's the rule. Now, the way the government works on the rules, they publish it in some weird publication that nobody can read and find, but that's the rule. So when you get audited, one of the biggest penalties in the whole world is not taking your distribution from an IRA. The tax is 50% penalty. So, Lord, everybody takes their RMD that has to, but understand this. If you took one and gave it back before August 31st of this year, you're okay. If you did it November 5th, September 5th, you are stuck paying, even though you stuck it back in, which is a big mistake. You're going to have to go back to whoever's holding it and say, hey, send me the money anyway, and don't count it twice, because you already have it subject to tax. But if it's an inherited IRA, you still have to take your distribution just like you did. They don't give you a pass on that. 340-1590, 340-1590. Hey, Ricky, it's Joe Martek. You're on the radio.
How you all doing today? This election's kind of squirrely, ain't it?
Well, you know, we've been talking about that till we're blue in the face, Ricky, and it's to put it mildly, it's disappointing for us conservatives. Number two, is there fraud? Well, I think there's always been fraud in the vote. We talk here about Grandma died 20 years ago and she got a ballot in the mail, and I said, well, did she sign it and send it back? You know, I mean, there's always going to be fraud.
It's nuts, but I was calling it. You're very smart people. You guys are very. You educate me a lot on things, and I got a question about it's related to capital gains.
Are you sure you're listening to the right radio station?
First of all, this is. Let me tell you, Ricky. Let me
Best
just
hour of radio
let me
is
put
on right after this one.
Let me put a caveat on this because Greg, the station producer, is the one that said that, and he's dumb as a stump. So don't.
Well, hey, he can't be dumb as dirt because he owns a radio station, right?
No, my wife does.
Anyway, Ricky, go ahead.
I understand that. Yes, sir. Well, I was thinking, I want to know if that bozo Biden gets on in, how's that going to affect my capital gains? Because I have a home to sell down here with St. Lucie, and I'm wondering if it's going to, what time frame them capital gains may change. And
Let me ask you a question. Is it
my
your
mama
primary?
said,
Is it your primary residence? You're living in it?
No. I've been buying and selling real estate a long time.
Okay.
Here in Port St. Lucie,
The-
and,
Biden wants to change the capital gain rate for sure. Now, when will that become effective? My guess, this is my guess, definitely not this year because he won't be in office. It won't be next year because it has to go through legislation. They will probably make it 2 or 3 years out because I've never seen legislation passed that was retroactive to this because there's way too many people that would be upset and they'd never get reelected again. So they push it out. So the concept is his whole plan is to raise the capital gain rate. How fast that's going to come into effect.
So the bottom line is you probably have years, not months, to worry about it.
That's probably now nobody knows that for fact, but I would almost bet. In fact, I would bet that it will not happen next year and next calendar.
I would bet your money on that too.
Yeah.
Your money?
okay.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, them people from Delaware, his son,
Hunter?
Hunter. Yeah, that young man, he's messed up. Joe, do you think he did cocaine in that pipe? Or?
Well, he did get busted years ago. Now, on the other hand, that I don't know what's going to come with this investigation. You know, it just appears as though there's a lot of stuff that starts in an investigation, and then 4 years later they're still doing it, or they forgot about it.
I think we all have to remember that during 2001, when the presidency was in question, we gave Al Gore almost 39 days to get figured out exactly what was going on here. And we're not even approaching 10 days as of right now.
Yeah, right.
So I support the president. I've been one of his biggest supporters in every way that I can be. But I'm not going to freak out about this. It's too early. We have to see what develops out.
Let it go.
Yeah.
However, when I just count, anyway, the bottom line is my biggest fear is that people in Georgia will vote the wrong way and we lose the Senate. That's my biggest single fear today. Now understand this, Ricky. If we maintain the Senate, it's going to be very hard for them to change anything because the Senate has to agree to it.
Well, okay. Well, thank you for your time. And I think one other statement. I think you and Vicky should get married. You're so smart. You'd be the big power couple down there.
The biggest problem we had years ago when I was single, she was fooling around with a good guy, and he was bigger than me.
Yeah,
so.
she didn't marry him, though.
No. That was the next guy. Then I got married, and that guy dumped her, and then.
What guy? No guy's ever done that.
Wait a minute. When I joined this group, I wasn't told that we had to switch partners here. It wasn't part of the deal, but, you know.
Sweetheart.
Oh, wow.
Hey, Ricky, thanks, my man.
May I just say that?
Have fun today. I'll see you.
Thanks, bye.
Thanks.
May
Yes.
May I
Anyway.
just say that as a former prosecutor, since Victoria is happily married to Lenny, that would be bigamy if the two of you got married.
Well,
Before we got
I
a
like when you
divorce.
think it's big of me.
I mean, is it still bigamy if it's not a ordained minister? I mean, like a Vegas chapel or something. You know, I'm just asking for a friend.
Of course.
Elvis.
Listen,
Joe was at our wedding.
Those
I know,
are
but
legally recognized marriages in Las Vegas. You have
all you have to be is a notary.
yeah.
Even the guy that does the one Apocalypto. There's one guy that's that will marry people that was in that play or the thing that they do, the Apocalypto one, where he would marry you and hold the knife over you, and even that guy that would be considered.
That I don't know, but I don't want to be anywhere near that.
Well,
No, that's not a shotgun.
I did have a shotgun marriage. Absolutely, I was married at 4:10 p.m. Which, by the way,
I know there's a story here that we don't need to hear.
I do want to reach out, though, and say Happy Veterans Day to all my veterans friends and buddies and colleagues, and those that are here with us and those that have traveled beyond. Again, it's thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for your service. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Absolutely.
Yes,
100%. 100%.
My husband and I have a charity for the veterans.
Right.
It's called thecostofOurFreedom.org.
Right.
Lenny wrote the song, sings the song. You've got to watch the video. You've got to watch it. 100% of our money goes to the veterans. We don't take any money for ourselves at all. The only other monies is to do our website. But 100% of our money goes. And at Christmas time, if anybody's available, and we've been doing this for the last couple of years also, is we go to the cemeteries and we donate the money. We put wreaths. We go in and we thank everybody for their services.
Please repeat
Wow.
the website again.
It's called thecostofOurFreedom.org.
The
Wow,
cost
I
of
didn't know that.
Now,
Yes,
you,
and
now you know.
We've had this for many years, and we're very active out there, and we really do help the veterans. And my husband, they always ask if he was in the service, and he never was. Now, my mom and dad are buried at Arlington Cemetery in the wall. And but one day we woke up, we didn't go to church, and Lenny says, I'm going to just go write a song. And within 30 minutes, he wrote this song. It's amazing what he did.
Yeah.
Wow.
And,
Are you a veteran, Joe?
No.
Will you look it up today? And
Alan?
everybody look it up and see. It's and you watch the video with the song. It's amazing.
Actually, technically, I'm not, but I did work at Armed Forces Radio. Serve my service
Yes.
duty.
You were that guy that would scream "Good morning, Vietnam," right? That was you, right?
Actually, I followed him in Saigon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but he was there.
340-1590, 340-1590. Let me talk a little business. I gave you a little bit of information on IRAs, which so people understand if they have an inherited IRA, they have to take a distribution this year. But if it's your own IRA or other retirement plan, the only one that you have to take a distribution from that I found is called a defined benefit program, which defined benefit programs are very few people have them, but this is a legal term.
It's a very strict kind of.
Well, the defined benefit programs are under more scrutiny than any other kind because not everybody that is employed in that same company is entitled to it. So the government is a little tough on those.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is you have to take distributions from that one. Let me give you another subject. Week after week, Alan and I talk about the Standard & Poor's 500. The Standard & Poor's 500 is 500 of America's biggest companies, and it's one of the easiest things in the world for the average person to follow. It's on the tube every day. It's in the newspaper every day. People understand 500 of America's biggest companies. And that 500 companies, basically, for the last 10 years, have averaged 13.56% per year. Average, 13.56%. So I'm going to go someplace with this subject, but I'm going to take a phone call first, I think. Do we lose them or no?
Roy. Yeah.
Roy, Joe Martek, you're on the radio.
Hey, Joe, how are you?
Very good, thank you.
Speak up, Roy.
You're an interesting crew you got there. Well, I had a horrible thought here a little while ago. Biden gets in there, and he likes to tax everything. Can he cause the IRS to tax us on the stimulus money we got?
Here's what I doubt it, because here's what's happened again. Under the new administration, they're going to put some legislation forward to change the tax code. I don't think there's any chance in the world it could happen during next calendar year. And I've never seen these things Now, does it mean it's not possible retroactive? Retroactive, they can go back and change things, but I've only seen things retroactive for people in their benefit, not to the benefit of the government or for the detriment of the people. So I don't think we're going to get our any more taxes than we've already got during this next calendar year.
And besides, I believe the law already provided for that to some degree that those were not taxable.
And I doubt they could ever go back and change it. You know, in spite, I said I doubt. I didn't say they could. Listen, if they're from California, they probably would, but otherwise.
Sure.
Anyway, Roy, I don't think so.
You got to remember where the vice president's coming from.
Well, I know, but Delaware, that's a tax-free state, right?
No.
I'm talking about the new vice president.
Kamala's
The
from
new,
California.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be our new president, you know, after they bump Joe off. You know that.
I've thought that right along. I hope it doesn't happen.
Well, no kidding.
Put Trump in jail and stuff, and that's the joke.
Yep, isn't that the truth? All right, my man. Listen, we want to thank you for calling in. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. 340-1590, 340-1590. Hey, chief operator of this radio station, are you listening? I think we got Ruben on. Is he on the radio? Ruben, it's Joe Martek. You're on the radio.
Yeah, hey, fellas. This is Ruben.
Speak up, Ruben.
Hi, Ruben.
Hi there. I have to say, I'm a little upset. I thought this whole time that you and Vicky were married.
Well, actually, she tried to fool around with me, but I told her no.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the saga continues, I guess. Huh?
You know, Ruben, that's the story of life. As long as you keep breathing, the saga continues.
That's right, yeah. Question, now that we got the Harris-Biden ticket probably going to be in the White House, when they kick old Joe out of there and we have President Harris, what are we going to call her husband? Is he going to be the first man? First guy? He's just going to be some awkward guy?
First dude.
First dude, yeah.
The appropriate title would be first gentleman.
Is that right? Is that true? Yes. That's the appropriate title?
Yes.
And if he bought land in Scotland, he would be the first Lord Gentleman.
Don't Tom Sawyer me.
Well, hey, it's listen, life is an interesting journey, and we have to take some of this stuff as entertainment value. And as I've said 1,000 times, thank you, Lord, we're in America. In spite of all of our grief and aggravation, we're in America.
Still
the
the best
place there is, period. Now, can we screw it up given any chance? Yes. We elect somebody, and as soon as you elect this perfectly honest guy, he becomes a politician, and as far as I'm concerned, he becomes a crook. Now, is that 100% true? No. But it sure seems like it. It's just amazing what we're talking about, how people can have millions and millions of dollars making $100,000 a year as a politician. It's just amazing how they can accumulate all this wealth. But listen, creative accounting.
So when are you guys moving to the Bahamas?
Listen, if you go to the Bahamas, which I do all the time, you want to talk about people mad at their politics. You've not seen anything until you get over there. There's a great number of people that would bump them off gladly and willing to go to jail. I mean, they have every country, as far as I've seen, has got its problems. And I'm not saying we should trade ours for anybody else's. I thank you, Lord.
The devil you know.
Yeah, the devil we know is better than the one we don't know.
That's right. Yeah, well, I guess it's only right. No?
All right, my man.
You guys are good patriots.
That's it.
Thanks for
Ruben,
calling.
thanks for calling.
Thank you.
And we got another call, 340-1590. Hirsch, it's Joe Martek. You're on the radio.
Good morning, WPS.
Hi, how are you? This is a question for the panel. Maybe Victoria can answer it.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'd like to know the rhyme or reason why the insurance companies on homeowners insurance were given the go-ahead, or supposedly somebody told me that there's some kind of a statute that they went and got an increase. My homeowners insurance went up by 1/3. So I was wondering what the rhyme or reason was behind that.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is a real interesting thing. First of all, every insurance company operates on this dollar in, They get to keep, this is not 100% in concrete. They get to keep 35 cents and they pay out 65 cents in claims and stuff. Well, if all of a sudden they're paying out 75 or 85 or 90, they go back to the state and ask for an increase, and the state gives them the increase. Now, is there some fuzzy accounting there? No kidding. The most important thing you can do, and I tell every single person when your insurance renews, whether it's your car, your home, whatever it might be, shop. Dan Warren, independent insurance agent, over 100 companies under their umbrella. Call his office and tell them. They'll give you the quote over the phone or email it to you. You need to shop it.
Yeah, he actually got me insurance for my business lines when no one else could.
Yeah.
And that's a long story.
Got me insurance on my boat that I couldn't get anyplace else. They don't like my Mustang, but other than that.
I think they're piling in here at the end here, guy.
But anyway, honestly, you need to shop, because I have seen Dan cut people's premiums down $5,000 and $7,000 lower than they were paying.
Thank you very much.
You got it. 340-1590, 340-1590. And John, it's Joe Martek. You're on the radio. Hey, John. No? We lose John? We got John? Did you not push the right button, Greg?
He's got it.
John, are you there or no? John's not here.
Gonzo.
We're just about out of time, are we not?
Yeah.
Sherry, it's Joe Martek. You're on the radio. Hey, Sherry, you're on the radio. It's Joe Martek. You lost Sherry, too?
You sure you know how to operate that thing?
Greg,
She's there.
How long you been doing this?
She's there.
You know, I think
She was there.
I think you're getting old timers.
Yeah,
no, wait
that's
a
true.
minute. You have that already. That's never.
I got that years ago.
She had a question on her IRA. You can call back in again. We got 1 minute left, so we don't have a whole bunch of time. But if you've got a question on the IRA, I talked about it quickly. Remember this: if you had to take a required minimum distribution this year, you did not have to during this calendar year. But if you took it early in the year and you didn't give it back by August 31st, forget the rule. You have to pay tax on that money. You have to pay. If you inherited an IRA from a relative or spouse, you still have to take your required minimum distribution this year. That's it. That's what I'm repeating what I already said, right?
Joe, we're going to talk about mutual funds and ETFs next week.
Yes, we will. Mutual funds and ETFs next week. I've got a whole bunch of stuff here that I printed out that I want to educate our people. We're down to about 15 seconds. Is that right, Chief? Come on. I like this. Our guy that runs. Listen, we need to get a new producer in here that knows what they're doing. You know, can I have you? Carol won't do it because she's too nice, right?
Say goodbye, Joe.
Hey, goodbye, Joe, and until next week, everybody. Thanks for calling in, and that's what we're here for. Call
This
us
is
next week.
Victoria. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye. Okay.
You've been listening to the Team Martek Hour. The Team Martek Hour is a paid program. The content was provided by the advertiser. WPSL, its staff, management, and ownership were not responsible for its content. Investment involves risk. Prior to making any investment, an investor should meet suitability requirements. Past results are not necessarily indicative of future performance. Neither the opinions expressed nor the information provided constitutes a recommendation to purchase or provide investment advice. The material presented is not a substitute for obtaining professional advice from a qualified person or firm. Securities offered through Centaurus Financial, member FINRA and SIPC. Tune in again next Wednesday at 11:05 for the Team Martek Hour here on WPSL 1590.
WPSL Port St. Lucie.